Hello guys, welcome to the webinar. It's November 14th on Wednesday. It's hump day. We're halfway there to the weekend. Just wanted to thank everyone for joining us. My name is Chris Gaffney. I do marketing and sales for KRS IT, and I'm here with Joe, who is the CEO and owner.
Hello, everybody.
All right, guys. So we know everyone's time is really valuable, so we're going to try to, I'm going to be your moderator and get you through some of these slides, and then we're going to let Joe talk about some of the more technical things, and we'll go from there, all right? So obviously today we're talking about cybersecurity threats and the benefits of the tax code 179. Some of you may be aware, some of you may not be, but it's a good way to keep your network up to maintenance and up to the latest that you need to do. All right? Okay, so some of the things we're going to cover today. Serious and growing threats to our organization that can no longer be ignored or passed off, as this one happened to me. Obviously, certain things like firewalls and antivirus, that was kind of all you needed back then, but it's no longer what you really need. There's a lot more pieces to the puzzle. We're going to try to provide those. So how mobile phones and cloud applications are seriously jeopardizing your organization's security and data protection, and what you need to do to protect yourself, and how the break-fix model for IT services is really no longer safe. We really need to take a proactive stance in today's day and age. All right. Okay, so again, that cute little picture, that's what we don't want to be. We don't want to be sitting ducks for a lot of these cyber criminals out there and let them go ahead and take away everything that you guys have worked so hard to achieve, your business and your life. So there's a lot of things at risk, so we want to make sure that we're properly protecting ourselves and taking advantage of the latest and greatest that we have to offer with cybersecurity, all right? So one thing to mention is a lot of you guys are already using cloud computing, already have employees using mobile devices to work. It's a trend that's not showing any signs of slowing down. However, most of you are adding to these elements in a pretty bad way. Instead of being smart and strategic about it, we want to kind of help you and guide you in the right direction there. Because of that, we're making expensive mistakes and we're exposing ourselves to these risks that we really don't have to. All right. So a special offer that we have, if you stick around to the end of the webinar, we ask everyone to please attend till the end because there's a lot of good information there. I'm going to let Joe actually go over this a little bit more in detail.
So yes, everybody, thanks for joining again. And so the mobile device security policy, it's basically an acceptable use template that possibly most of you don't have. It's a nifty little way to add to your employee guidebook. And this will actually give you the ins and outs of different acceptable uses for mobile devices. So this is just a little template. It will benefit your company very greatly. So we use this with several clients that actually are using the mobile device template. So it's just something to keep in mind and to have in there.
All right, so who is KRS IT Consulting? So I'll give you a quick brief rundown from the company. So KRS IT firm, it was started in 2010 by Joe. We cover the New York, New Jersey metro area. Clients that range from as small as 5 people all the way to 100+ organizations. We are experts in cybersecurity and data protection. Partners in Microsoft, Dell, Cisco, VMware, and HP partnerships. And everything we do, we're actually reinvesting our profits into the latest software to protect you guys and make sure that our clients are on the latest and greatest to protect their precious data.
And also, guys, I just wanted to give you a quick background on myself. For those of you that don't know me, I used to work in corporate America for Fortune 500 companies, running all different types of large networks and technologies. And, you know, the one thing that I realized, you know, the time that I spent there of how unfairly small and medium-sized businesses were treated. So it became my obsession, and I wanted to do something to make a difference in their lives and their businesses. So this is why I started KRS IT Consulting. I wanted to become a champion for small business owners out there.
Very cool. Okay. All right, so let's move on to our next slide. So again, okay, so why are we talking to you about this today? So 100% of the businesses that we've taken on within the last year or so, all of our new clients were shocked when we actually ran a report for them and we showed them the risks that they didn't even know were there. A lot of people think they have backups, they think they're protected, but when push comes to shove, a lot of them are not monitored. They're not even working when you think they need them. So doing a thorough audit or a thorough cybersecurity or network check is actually something that we should always look to do at least once a year. Most of our new clients actually were not protected as they thought they were. So we want to make sure that we demonstrate that to the fullest ability. All All right, so the biggest danger is your complacency. So here's a pretty cool quote by Andrew Grove, who's the former CEO of Intel. Success breeds complacency, and complacency breeds failure. Only the paranoid survive. I'd say in 2018, that quote is very true. It's always the companies that are thinking about this and taking a proactive approach that are protected, and they really don't have to worry. It's the people that think it won't happen to them that 9 times out of 10 we see it does happen to them, and it's never good when it does. So we want to protect you guys from that. Yeah, so once again, complacency. The ostrich with his head in the sand there. So we do not underestimate the importance of addressing and protecting yourself from this threat. There's so many new threats that even if we were to discuss all the ones today on this webinar, I can guarantee you on the next webinar, there's going to be new threats. So that's a company like ours. That's why we decided to more or less focus heavily on cybersecurity. It's not going anywhere. It's becoming worse day to day. So in order to make sure that our clients can sleep well at night and that they're protected, that became our obsession, and we want to make sure that we're protecting them to our fullest ability. All right, so a quick overview of sophistication and proliferation of the cybercrime business. So yeah, back in the day, cybercrime really wasn't that big of a deal, but it's absolutely gotten way worse over time. And here's a pretty cool picture, and it's going to show you some of the companies that are just massive companies that you would never think could be breached, but they absolutely were. All their clients' information was taken, data stolen, companies like Target, JP Morgan Chase, eBay. So these are big, big companies, guys. So if this can happen to them with all the things that I'm sure they had in place to protect themselves, it 100% can happen to smaller businesses. So we just want to make sure people know that. And back in the day, crime was easy. It's like, somebody standing in an alleyway with a knife or a gun, jumps out at somebody and says, "Hey, give me your money," But just like any business, the criminals started thinking, well, how can I do better? How can I grow my business? So then, robbing a person in an alleyway turned into train robberies, where they could then rob 100 people instead of one person. And over time, technology advanced, and then they started figuring out, well, why rob 100 if we can rob 100,000? And that's where we're at today. These cyber criminals are very smart. It's not just one person. It's normally, heavily funded groups that are doing a lot of this damage. So it's something that we absolutely have to take proper precaution to protect ourselves against. All right, JP Morgan Chase. So this was something that happened pretty recently. 80 million households and 7 million small to medium-sized businesses were hacked. So I'm not sure if you guys remember that or not, but it wasn't just one person stealing a credit card. It was, a small group of people that stole tens of millions. I believe it was somewhere about an estimated $80 million was lost. Personal credit cards, 7 million small to medium-sized businesses, all in one fell swoop. So this was right on the heels of the Target and Home Depot attacks, where 40 million credit cards were stolen from Target, 56 million credit cards from Home Depot. So just think about that. If these companies are able to be breached, it really wouldn't be very hard to breach any of your companies. So we want to make sure that we apply the proper tools to protect you from things of this nature. All right. Okay, so the criminal digital underground thriving black market. So in a recent seminar that Joe and I attended, this is some of the things that we learned. We thought this was really interesting that we would bring this to this webinar. So here are some prices for some of the things that these cyber criminals actually sell. Credit card details go from anywhere from $2 to $90. iTunes account cards, there's physical credit cards they sell for about $190. Card cloners can be bought from anywhere from $200 to $300. And this one blew both of our minds. They actually have fake ATMs that can be bought for $35,000. Sit them somewhere and people go ahead and put all their information in, which is stolen. So it really is a business. Anyone can buy training tools, services for committing fraud, hacking systems, buying stolen credit cards. This is all available in today's day and age, sadly.
Yikes.
Yeah, yikes indeed. So they're a business online that just sell hacking software and tools. Almost how we're an IT company and you get a help desk with us and we have people troubleshooting for you. They have people that do the same thing for people that are buying hacking equipment. They'll call the help desk and they'll say, hey, if you're not able to breach at least 5 businesses, we'll give you your money back. So it's really a legit business in 2018. It's quite scary, all the things that we learn the more we attend these seminars and engulf ourselves in this whole cybersecurity aspect. All right. So additional damages and costs not included. So this is just talking about some of the things, obviously, beside the, the obvious money that you guys would be losing. This is some things that also would be a problem. Loss of clients, reputational damage, lawsuits, as we mentioned before. Some of the clients that we've dealt with actually had to go through this. Legal fees, compliance issues. So there's a lot of bad things that can happen if we're not taking proper measure to prevent against this kind of stuff happening. All right, so this is a real life impact. We want to just go ahead and show you some of that stuff. You can go on. Okay, so again, and this is what a lot of people think. It's, oh, but we're small, nobody would bother to attack us. No, that's absolutely wrong. And I kind of thought that at first too. I thought some of these people would fly under the radar, but it doesn't really work like that. So, I mean, if you're not a Target or JP Morgan, it doesn't really matter. Like, smaller companies are easier targets. They're the low-hanging fruit, and a lot of these machines are so advanced now that it's just an automated system. It's going to scan business to business, and if it finds a business that is able to be infiltrated, then it's going to go ahead and install the software, and it's going to hit you at ransomware. So you need these things in place. If you do have proper precaution in place, then it will move on to the next one. And the other poor person that doesn't have that in place will have to face those effects. But you guys really have to have these things in place beforehand. It's almost like insurance, you know, you need it before you need it, unfortunately. But that's just the way it is. All right. And here's a good question. We asked about this too at the seminar. So why don't you hear more about it? And I think in 2018, you did hear a lot about it. And I think as time goes on, we hear more and more about it. But an interesting thing is companies are embarrassed when they're infiltrated, when they're hacked, when their customers' data is stolen. So just think about all the ones that are not reported. I think that's a bigger thing. So as big as this problem is, it's probably 2 to 3 times bigger when you really start to think about all the people that try to hide this due to, like, you know, PR and all the other things that come with this. So it's beyond a growing problem. It's something that really needs to be addressed. All right, so here's just another way to think about it. So key point, just because you guys might not be worried about your information, or someone says, hey, I want to be a risk taker, that doesn't mean your clients or your customers' information, you know, that they want to be risk takers. They want to be protected. They want to think that you guys are doing everything possible to ensure that their data doesn't get out there, that you guys are going to bat for them and making sure that anything that's available to protect them, you guys are doing it. If there's compliance issues, you guys are following it. So that's just another way to think about our customers. All right, and at this point, a lot of this gets a little more technical, so I'm going to pass it off to Joe, and he's going to go over some of this with you guys.
Thanks, Chris, for that great information. So everyone, again, I want to thank you for joining us here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over the 7 biggest threats to your organization right now and actually how to stop them. So right now would be a great time to take some notes. It'll definitely give you some pointers on what you can do and some free tips for you in these next slides. All right, so cyber thugs aren't really your #1 threat. I mean, they're still a threat, you know, don't take that away, but employee is actually your biggest issue. And why is your employee a big issue there? Is that if they're not trained on the proper things of what to do and what not to do, unfortunately, you know, they're going to click on something and activate and then allow some of this malware code to start running on your systems. You can get compromised from, you know, social media, different emails, you know, just basically clicking anything, or maybe even having some type of a request that comes through from a Dropbox program, like a file sharing program that we strongly suggest to not use. So there are multiple different ways that you can get attacked on your network, but your employees are actually the ones that activate it. So we would strongly advise you to use our cyber training program. It's a really nifty program that actually trains and certifies all of your staff members, and it gets refreshed every 6 months. And then we're able to actually do some penetration testing and see if there's anyone on your network in terms of your employees that actually needs further training. So it starts with training, okay? So that's the biggest point that
eliminating
you want to
human
drive
error,
home.
right?
Yeah, eliminating human error is really the biggest culprit there. All right, and the next slide here, again, disgruntled employees actually are a big problem, because if you're not disabling and removing accounts and making sure that your old employee login information is taken care of, then there's a potential threat that they can actually start accessing your network using that old login information. So if you're not doing a good job of that, strongly urge you to take a look at that, or you can connect with us and we'll show you different ways on how to manage this, or you can have us manage it for you. Another potential way is vendors. Vendors can actually access your Wi-Fi network. So maybe they came on site to do a presentation for you, and maybe they didn't win the bid to do that big project for you, so they got a little upset. Maybe they figured that you promised them something and something didn't pan out. There's a potential that anyone that has your actual Wi-Fi network could actually connect to your network there. So you definitely want to install some type of a way to separate your corporate network and your guest network, and the guest network will have no access to your corporate network. If you do not have a system like that in place, we strongly urge you to have us take a review of that for you, okay? And the next one here, so how much of your company data is actually out on the cloud, right? So if you're using something like Dropbox, we would strongly urge you to not use that at all. Dropbox has been compromised several times. I know the article here is actually 2004, but there are many, many, many other articles out there that are actually have indicated how many times Dropbox has actually been hacked. And something that Chris and I do is we run dark web scans for our clients. And you'll be able to notice that from those reports that you actually have password breaches, and it'll say, where was this password breached? A lot of times we see Dropbox on that list. So Dropbox comes up a lot. Strongly suggest that you, stop using Dropbox. Use something alternatively like Liquid Files. There's something also OneDrive for Business. So don't use any of the freebie file sharing programs. If you are using them, just try to use files that are not so confidential or any type of company data that could be harmful if it's sitting out there. So number two, malware. Malware is another main threat. So number one was your employees and those different angles there. But number two is malware, and approximately 82,000 new malware threats are being released per day. This is true. So if you're not running on the latest software systems and protection mechanisms that we can enable on your network, and different endpoint security, we would strongly suggest you having us take a look at this for you, okay? Provide a free report on all the different things of your network and where you may have some deficiencies. Day in and day out, I mean, there's lots of threats being released out there, and we see it every day. So, this is a very dangerous type of situation here, and you want to take control of it as best as you can. All right, so this slide here, we're just going to share two true stories here. So in story number one, this is something that I worked very closely along with our client. And story number two, Chris worked closely with that client. For confidentiality reasons, we're not able to share the name of the client itself, but we'll just kind of show, just go through the story itself. So story number one, managed client ended up purchasing a BDR, a backup disaster recovery, and saved the day. So this is true, and what had actually happened is we sold them a backup disaster recovery system by Datto. We implemented it for them, and sure enough, they were a little bit lacking on some of the security mechanisms in their business. So the only software technology that they actually ended up purchasing from us was the backup disaster recovery system. Sure enough, within a week later, they were breached. They had a ransomware attack. We were able to stop it immediately, so we were notified of that attack. We were not monitoring the network. But with the backup disaster recovery appliance, we were able to actually turn up and spin up their systems in a matter of minutes. So it actually saved the day, and we were able to then get some security mechanisms in place and software technologies to help protect and stop this from happening. The IT director was very thrilled and happy, and he really saw the value of what we do day in and day out.
All right, so that's a good story, but unfortunately, my story didn't end as well as yours did. So while Joe got to play hero, I got to see a bit of a horror story up close and personal. So one of our clients that we have that was on a break fix model. Break fix again meaning they call us when something breaks, but the downside to that is we don't get to learn their network. There's nothing proactively being done. We saw by doing an assessment for them that they actually had a lot of problems building up, and they had very, very big holes in their security. So we put together a small plan and suggested on something that they might want to jump on, but unfortunately, they decided to pass on it. We understand when we sell services, it's an intangible, so it's kind of hard to get someone to commit to something like that they can't see, but we know firsthand how valuable it really is. So to make a long story short, about a month and a half later, I got a panic call from the owner who let us know that they were infected with ransomware, they were down, and it was kind of like a scramble at that point. We tried to help them the best we could, but at that time, I think they waited a little bit too long. And from going from a plan that would have cost them a mere couple $100s a month, they were infested with ransomware that actually cost them over $8,000 in Bitcoin, which was a headache to begin with. And the end result was they weren't even able to get back majority of their data. So at this point, unfortunately, without naming names due to compliance issues, the client might even have to close doors in 2019. That was the last I heard from him. And they're also facing some litigation from clients and data that was infiltrated. So really bad stuff that we see, unfortunately every year. This is the kind of stuff that happens. And this is also why Joe and I have invested so heavily into cybersecurity and really decided to make this our focal point. So we want to avoid as many of these stories as we can moving forward.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
Yeah, it really was.
Okay, and so number 3, bank fraud. All right, the FDIC does not protect you from bank fraud, and you can go back to your bank, you can speak to them, and this is mainly around wire transfers. Okay, so if your credentials get compromised and your bank does not have the proper security precautions put into place, and we're seeing this a lot lately, wire transfers, they can happen online. They can be transferred over to the cyber criminal's bank account, and before you know it, if it's not caught in time, that money is gone. So don't let that happen to you. We'll have a couple of tips on how to prevent this from happening to you. But wire fraud is very serious, and just because, let's say, $10,000 gets removed out of your account or more, the bank's not going to say, "Oh, that's okay. It was not your fault. Here's $10,000 again." They're not going to do that. It's simply once the money's gone, it's gone.
Real estate transactions have been taken.
One of the biggest, one of the biggest that have been attacked. Yeah. So tips for protecting yourself. Again, take this with a grain of salt here. I know canceling your debit card is going to be a little hard, but that could be an extreme case. Or limit it, right? Limit it would probably be better. So limit your debit card usage. It's really the number one way that bank accounts get compromised. So it does have your account number on the bank ATM card there itself. So you definitely want to limit that as much as you can. Using it at gas stations is probably a big no-no. Any vendors or merchants that are a little bit sketchy, I would refrain from using your bank card. Okay. Use a credit card instead. So the biggest difference between debit and credit, debit, your money leaves instantly. It's right away withdrawn out of your account. Okay. With a credit card, no money's being taken out other than there's a debit or some type of loan that you have to pay back, right? So once an attacker can actually get access to your bank account, that money is removed immediately. All right, and then you're going to have to call your bank and plead your case and see if that they can get some of your money back. And sometimes you actually may lose a portion of your money. So sometimes it could be $50, it could be $500. It just really depends. But why lose any money if you don't have to, right? Next quick tip is use a dedicated computer for online banking and don't use it for anything else. Don't use it for websites. Don't use it for email, social media. Don't download any other files or any other applications, okay? It's one of the safest ways to prevent any type of access from the outside, okay? And banks now are getting a little bit smarter, so you can actually use this feature that's called two-factor authentication. which will actually send you a code or text message to authenticate your computer where you're accessing this online banking. But again, I would strongly suggest don't leave it up to that. Have that two-factor authentication enabled on your account if it's not, all right, already. But definitely use a computer where you're not accessing any of those other things, okay? And you can do this both for personal and for business. It's strongly recommended. Next thing, sign up for email or even text alerts, okay? So some banks can actually do text alerts. They can send you a text message when you have a withdrawal over $100, right? I know it might be a little annoying, but look, I'd rather get that than actually lose a couple thousand or more in money being withdrawn without your knowledge. So it's a good thing to have in place. Require your signature for any wire transfers, okay? Just make sure your bank, again, has this enabled for you. So sometimes you don't need a signature and it'll just go right through. These online systems now, like I said, some banks are getting a little bit smarter and they're actually focusing a little bit more on the cybersecurity aspect of things. But again, it depends what type of bank you have. If you have a local community bank, they may not have all of these cybersecurity measures that they should be using. So just make sure you have these things enabled. All right. Next thing is, spreading your money and don't keep it in the same bank. Maybe have different banks for different things. It's kind of like the saying goes, like putting your eggs in one basket. You want to maybe, separate that out and diversify and minimize your risk and exposure there, okay?
One other thing, if you didn't mind if I jump in, I actually went out with a friend for lunch the other day and we were at a restaurant. He's using public Wi-Fi doing banking on his laptop. And I was like, dude, do not do that. So it's obvious to us, we're in the industry, but a lot of people wouldn't really think that. They just think, hey, I'm on my computer, it's safe. But if you're on a Wi-Fi or like a Starbucks or something like that, it's absolutely not safe. Don't do purchasing, absolutely don't do banking. So that's another good thing to remember, and just figured I'd pass that on to you guys.
Absolutely. It's a good point, Chris, that you bring that up. And, these hackers, believe it or not, so they can actually mimic a network. So let's say you go to Starbucks and the Starbucks Wi-Fi network is called Starbucks, let's say, or Starbucks Google or something. They can actually make a fake network and you're connecting to their network. Yes.
Wow, that is
so.
They probably change a digit or add a letter.
Exactly, 100%. Like as Chris said, do not use public Wi-Fi to do any type of financial or banking, guys. Okay, that's another huge risk or exposure. Okay, so even though you're using a dedicated PC, do not connect to any public Wi-Fi to do those types of things.
Private Wi-Fi connection.
Use a private Wi-Fi. If you can turn your phone into a hotspot, is a great thing. If you can actually buy one of those little mini hotspot modems from like Verizon, T-Mobile, or Sprint, use one of those as well. Okay, those will be a little bit more secure because it's an own public network, private network for yourself. Okay, and you have the passcode for it. The last one on this list here. Okay, carry crime insurance. Right, we're not insurance brokers, but we would strongly urge you to speak to an insurance agent. They can provide you different crime insurance, so such as like if you're getting any litigation lawsuits or any other exposures, they'll help pay to get these costs kind of minimized for you. All right. I guess it's not the best thing to have, but it's always an extra layer, right, to help protect you. Hopefully you don't have to use it, right? That's kind of the whole gist there, but having it would not hurt. All right, number 4, guys. So social media, all right? Social media, 6,000 Facebook accounts are being hacked every single day. Yes, this is true, and you definitely want to eliminate and minimize this usage each day, all right? Employees, I know, are very notorious for using social media on your work computers, so in the next couple of slides, we'll give you some tips. You probably most likely do not want to use this, all right? So we want to eliminate that social media from your work presence, unless you have to actually use it for work. So here's another interesting tip. All right, threat number 2 is it's a significant loss of productivity. So as you can see here, a study that we found on the internet, most time wasters, you have less than 1 hour, 39%. So 39% of employees, that's a large portion. It's almost half of your workforce is actually on social media every day. Just think about it. You're paying payroll, you're paying your employees to produce, and if they're actually on social media an hour a day or even less than that, that's a huge productivity loss. Look at the next one, 29% for 1 to 2 hours, 2 to 5 hours, 21%, and then so forth, so forth. And then Chris and I were thinking, 10 plus hours, how
I want to meet
possible?
that person.
I'd like to meet this person myself. The only thing we can think of is maybe it's a security job. It's like a low end, type of
gas stations.
Yeah, maybe a gas station or something, where it doesn't require too much user interaction. When I mean low end, I kind of mean like user interaction of some sorts. But
that's dedication. 10 hours on Facebook.
Yeah, I mean, I would be very cautious about that. I mean, if parking attendant or someone else is using social media that much, I think it could be a big problem, for any company out there. So just want to keep that in mind. All right, and then social media again. Here's how it could actually be another big threat. So PR scandal. I don't know if this is something anyone remembers here, but Burger King. There was a person that actually stood on 2 boxes of looks like romaine lettuce there. So and then people were very angry about this, and immediately they started posting on social media, finding out who this person was and why they did this, and basically they got this person fired, right? You don't want this to happen to your company. So let's say that a user's information was breached, and it's a big company, right? And then they say, okay, you know what? We're going to blast this company for not having the proper security mechanisms in place, and don't do business with this company. They lost my information, and now it's out there on the dark web, and people are able to access the different things. The point is here, just you don't want people to start blasting on social media. So just be very careful about this. And again, eliminating social media as much as possible would be great. But again, this is an outside threat to any company out there. All right, number 5, ransomware. Right. So again, here, a writer asked a literary agent what kind of writing pays the most. Her answer was simply ransom notes. Okay. So, basically what's happening out there is you may walk into your office one day and you get this message pop up here. It's one of the worst nightmares that you can have. Walking into the office, and if you have a message like this on your screen, you're going to essentially have to start looking at purchasing Bitcoins and start paying the ransom. And now what's kind of going on out there is a lot of these hackers are not even providing the key code to unlock the files. They're just basically deleting that. So it's a double whammy. You're paying them and you're not getting your data. So don't let this kind of happen to you. The best thing that we can suggest with tip number 5 here, or issue number 5, is to actually have some type of ransomware protection. We do have software systems. We have policies that we can implement. And again, those training programs really help out a lot.
If I could jump in real quick too, it's actually becoming so easy to infect companies with ransomware that the people that create it are getting bored and finding new and creative ways to entertain themselves. We've heard the last seminar we went to, how they'll actually give you a choice now. It's almost like that horror movie Saw, like they're giving you a moral choice. They'll release your data, but by them doing that, you're going to infect 2 other companies. I mean,
it's like a referral.
Yeah, a horrible referral. So, I mean, it's really getting bad out there. So every day we're learning new examples of what's out there.
Yeah. And another evolution actually in ransomware, which is it's a very new thing that we just recently learned. Ransomware is coming to the cloud. So just because you think, oh, well, my business is in the cloud, I shouldn't have to worry about things, the cloud will protect me, it's actually a big no-no. There are ways now where they're getting access into your Office 365 account or Google Apps accounts. And there is a mechanism that they can install and start encrypting all of your emails. And the only thing you'll be able to see is the subject line that says, please pay me this amount in Bitcoins. So it's pretty scary out there. Don't let that happen to you, all right? And that's that ransomware cloud is probably not so much into the news lately, but you'll start seeing that very, very soon. And One quick tip, just because your emails are out in the cloud does not mean that they're actually backed up, okay? Microsoft and Google and some of the other providers out there, they have a small retention policy, but it might take them days before they can recover your data, okay? So don't leave the backups up to Microsoft. Microsoft really suggests that you back up your own data. They're not responsible for your data. They do provide the platform, but they're not actually backing up your data, so it's very important. So here's another interesting topic. So basically, ransomware has infected a hospital here, Presbyterian Medical Center in Hollywood, and they were required to pay 40 bitcoins, which the date of this article is 2016, was roughly 17,000. Today, Bitcoin is up to a little over 6,500. So that would actually be 260,000 that they would have to pay in today's age, right? So again, don't let this happen to you. I know that this is a bigger world example, but again, if you're a smaller company, you might be paying several $1,000s just to unlock your data. And, you know, low-hanging fruit, as Chris said earlier, it's very easier for them to penetrate your networks.
Automated.
So they're not picky. So if they know how important your data is, they're going to get in there, they're going to lock things up, and then you're going to be required to pay if you're not prepared to be able to overcome this type of security issue.
And again, even if you pay, no guarantee you're going to get your data back.
No.
There's no guarantee.
Exactly. All right, number 6. Almost there, guys. Number 6. So unsecured, unmonitored mobile devices, okay? This is a little bit of a touchy subject, but again, it's a big necessity out there, okay? Most companies, I would say probably all companies, are BYOD, right? Bring your own device. And people are bringing their own mobile phones, Android, iPhones, etc., right? But how many of you are actually accessing corporate email on them? I bet a large portion of you are. Now, if that phone gets lost or stolen, there's company information on that phone, right? And how many of your employees or you yourself have an actual password on your phone? If you don't have a password on your phone, so chances are they can get right in there. They can start sending emails. They can start reading emails. They can start forwarding emails. They can start downloading emails. They can do all sorts of different things. And if you have even Dropbox maybe on your phone or some other file sharing software that maybe you're downloading things, that can be accessed too. So company contacts, yeah, they can impersonate you. So this is very scary, especially if it's one of the higher ups in the company, if it's an executive. You don't want this kind of happening. And you want to be able to have some type of a kill switch to wipe and clean that data out, all right? There are ways to do this on your own, or you could have us do this for you. But again, we strongly suggest for you to do something, okay? So if your users want to manage it on your own, that acceptable use policy for mobile devices will come in handy. You definitely want to implement that into your employee guidebook, okay? So it's very important there. Get with us if you do want to learn more about this. This is a growing issue that we see across a lot of organizations. And number 7, the final one, spam, okay? Spam is the biggest driver of these breaches today, okay? So some of the bigger companies out there, JP Morgan, Target, RSA Security, most recently Uber, right? Equifax, Home Depot, all of these things happened mostly around spam emails, okay? Emails are getting trickier, smarter. They're pretty clever out there, these cyber criminals. So their writing skills are developing, and they're able to have you click on something or saying that, hey, you didn't pay your credit card, and maybe you did the other day or two, and you go in there, you click something, you go into your account, and then before you know it, you just activated something on your computer, or maybe you didn't realize, and then the next day you walk in, you get that ransomware message on your computer screen. It's very scary out there. Don't let this happen to you. Our strong suggestion here with number 7 is have a third-party filtering, email filtering system. Okay, these email filtering systems are designed specifically to try and stop a lot of these ransomware attacks that come through. Okay. what it actually will do is scan all of your emails. They'll put it through different scanning engines and email systems there. And before it actually gets delivered to your inbox, it'll be scanned by 7 or more type of security products to help protect against these ransomware attacks, okay? So if you don't have something like that or you're not sure, definitely take note of that. We can give you some suggestions there or help you implement something. All right, so those are the 7 topics there. And I just briefly want to go over Tax Code 179 and what it actually entails. So for those of you that don't know what Tax Code 79, again, we're not CPAs here, so we strongly urge you to actually speak to your CPA before you actually go through this. But basically what Tax Code 179 does is it's a IRS loophole where you can purchase qualifying equipment and software throughout this year and actually do a full deduction off of your 2018 taxes. So if you think that possibly you had a great year and you want to be able to minimize your tax exposure for the next following year, and may have to pay back Uncle Sam some more money there to eliminate some of that exposure, you can actually purchase equipment and write off the full amount, right? So let's say you purchase $100,000 worth of new equipment, you can actually write that off your entire gross revenue there. So if you want to learn more about this, again, I would strongly suggest that you go to this website there, section179.org, okay? And this must be done within the 2018 calendar year, okay? So definitely want to take advantage of that. Again, speak to your CPA. Don't, just go out there, start buying things and saying, oh, that you promised us this or anything like that, okay? Just definitely look into this. But if it might help out your tax return for the next year.
All right, so here we go with the $1 million question then. How do we protect yourself? All right, so let's get into some of the solutions. So how we protect ourselves then is we take, as we mentioned through the whole webinar, we take a proactive approach, all right? The things that were sufficient back in the day, we now know that they're not. So we want to basically, you want to get a company like KRS to go ahead and basically be your insurance, to do the things that you need done so you can focus on your business and you don't have to worry about these kind of threats every day. You let us worry about it and we'll put together a custom solution for your business. So now that there's a great big problem here, we want to recognize the problem is that we've made you aware of the problem, and frankly, that's a good thing. After all, I know, you would all be grateful if someone alerted you that there's a guy pointing a gun in the bush over there at you. So that's essentially what we're doing as far as cybercrime, but we now need to kind of guide you guys into the right direction as far as how to put a plan in place that works for your company, all right? So, okay, so let's get into this. So basically what we've done, Joe and I, is we've combined 2 of our great plans. We've combined our network maintenance plan with our cybersecurity plan. We're calling it our premium cybersecurity plan. Obviously, it kind of makes sense. So this would be basically the most comprehensive, complete IT services package you can have, while also bundling in cybersecurity. And that's going to give you 3 key elements to cybersecurity. Dark web, as Joe mentioned, so we can scan emails and let you know of threats and any breaches that have taken place. There's a training element to this, which is a training program, as we can certify your staff, because again, human error is really one of the biggest problems that we face day to day. And then there's endpoint protection, which is really the latest and greatest as far as antivirus. Antivirus cannot protect against things like ransomware and live attacks and things of that nature. However, endpoint protection can. It has rollback features in it where we're able to actually take your business and go back before you were infected. And they have their own help desk that we're able to reach out to and work hand in hand. So it's a legit partnership to protect you guys and make sure that all these threats that we're talking about now have a big problem trying to get into a company like yours. So basically, as mentioned, that's really a hybrid plan of all of ours together. So this service is ideal for all the businesses that we kind of just mentioned. We're going to just run through these slides real quick. So these are for companies that need 24/7 coverage. They want to maintain security of their data. Obviously, if your data is important to you, this is something that you want to think about. Avoid unexpected and expensive IT bills for repair, because by doing this proactively, you're working with a company that has in-house help desk. They're getting to know your employees. They're getting to know your network. So when an issue does pop up, it's something that we're familiar with. It's something that would take us a lot less time to fix than if you call someone that the network is completely foreign to them. That's where you guys start racking up big bills as far as IT and things of that nature. So reaching a level of growth and maturity in their business. So if you realize that your company is growing and you're kind of outgrowing the technology solution you have now, again, this is also a good good spot for somebody like that. And just forming a partnership with someone that you can trust. I think if you talk to any of our clients, they'd let you know how happy they are. We don't just become their provider. It really is kind of like a small family. We have meetings with them. We give them the roadmap that they need as far as their future. Not everything needs to be done up front, but we do plan properly for where they want to be 5 years from now. We ensure that they get there. And ultimately is everything is peace of mind, right? That's what everybody wants. They want to be able to focus on their work. They want to be able to grow their company, and they want to take the risk and basically pass it off to somebody else. So again, that's where a company like ours would come into play. Every technology that has to do with your company would then become our job. That's what we're here to do. We're here to service you guys, make sure that you have people working on your team that are protecting you against downtime, that are protecting you against the threats that we mentioned, ransomware, and that are also giving you quality IT services, learning your network, providing help desk, remote support, on-site support. This is everything that we offer. All right. So how do we do this? So 3 steps to getting started. First 2 steps are free. So basically what we want to do is we want to, for everyone, we're going to offer the first 10 hardware, audit, cyber. We're going to combine them. So what we're going to do is we're going to let you take advantage of the tax code 179. If you guys have any ideas that maybe you have a server that you've been thinking of upgrading, or any kind of technology project that you wanted to do, let us do an audit for you guys. We can do a hardware audit where we can let you know where some hardware might need to be upgraded. We can also do a cybersecurity one where we let you know where you guys are vulnerable. So by combining these 2 things, I think that puts you guys in a really good spot as far as protecting your company and taking advantage of some tax breaks, as we previously mentioned. So what we want to do, though, is the first 10 hardware audit for the cybersecurity, we want to do those for free. It would just be the first 10 because this is normally a chargeable audit that we offer for anyone. We do this for $499. So due to limited resources and time, we'll do this for our first 10 that sign up for this, and it's good. The offer is good until November 30th. All right. So here's just some more information, and it's basically what we do. We come in, we'll do the audit for you guys. We'll do check out your hardware, see anything that might need to be upgraded, or you guys can let us know. You could say, hey, I've been thinking about adding more Wi-Fi. I've been thinking about adding, a server. We've been thinking about doing this. So if you have any kind of plans, just reach out to us and let us know. We'd be happy to take a further look in for you guys and create a solution that would work for your business. All right, and then after we do that, once we go ahead and we get all of our information, that's where Joe and I kind of sit down. We'll review all of your information, and we'll go ahead and put together a custom solution for you guys. So what we put together for you is really customized only to you. Wouldn't necessarily work for anyone else. We're just going to go off of the information we find and put together the best plan for you guys. This is how you guys can save money. This is how you guys can protect yourself, and we're going to combine everything. I think back in the day, a lot of IT companies would separate everything out, and there was a lot of things that were a la carte. But what you find is you quickly get upcharged for a lot of things. And before you know it, it's just you're actually going to pay more than if you were to kind of bundle things that you really do need on a day-to-day basis anyway. So that's what we would do. We would take our information, give you guys a custom solution, and that's pretty much it. And then at the end, 3 things. So here's what could happen. Option 1 is that you like the plan, but you have to do it yourself, or maybe you have a local IT guy, or you want to try to implement the solution yourself. That's possible. You like the plan, you have to have us implement it for you. Obviously, that would be what we would like you guys to do, is to kind of join the KRS family and let us do this for you. Or 3, you have to do nothing. But Joe and I can tell you from day to day, we urge you to do 1 or 2, not to do 3, because if you do nothing, we know a lot of companies, even some of our clients now, it's kind of hard to let them know and upsell them on cybersecurity because everyone kind of does have that attitude of it can't happen to them. We urge you not to do nothing because everyone is very vulnerable and it's only getting worse each day. So these are our 3 options, but we highly suggest you do something. Something's always better than nothing. All right, I'm going to let Joe go over this a little bit here. He's going to talk about this offer.
Yeah, so everyone that actually is a part of the webinar today and that actually have signed up, maybe wasn't able to attend, you'll actually get this template. So it's basically an easily customizable template that you can put into your employee guidebook. We strongly urge you to go through it, add it in there, make sure that your employees understand, how to actually use your device in your network, okay, and what's acceptable for them to do, what's not acceptable for them to do, and if there is some type of a potential issue, at least you have it in your guidebook to help protect you. Okay, so this is a pretty little nifty template. We definitely strongly urge you to use this as you see fit within your employee guidebook. Okay.
All right, guys, and basically we're going to be wrapping it up really shortly here. But these are the two important things that you need to know is, again, we want to reiterate the date. We can do this free for the first 10 offers, and we can extend this offer all the way till November 30th. But if you have any interest, we highly suggest you get in touch with us and let us know so we can get you on the calendar and we can get the ball rolling and save your spot. And again, no obligation. So by you going ahead and doing this, you're not obligated to anything. You don't have to work with us. All we're going to do is go ahead and do the assessment for you, give you your roadmap, and let you know where you guys might be vulnerable, where you might be able to save some money, and basically put together the best plan that we feel for your business. So also, just to throw this in there, there's not going to be any heavy sales pressure. We don't do that. This company really doesn't operate that way. We want to work with people that want to work with us, and that's pretty much it. So we're not looking to sell you on things you don't need. We're looking to sell you on what you do need, what will protect you. And we just want to make you aware of some of the big risks that you guys are probably exposed to that you really don't even know. So I think that's pretty much it. We're coming to the end of our webinar here. And Joe, if you wanted to just once again reiterate about.
Yeah, so again, I wanted to thank everyone for attending this webinar. We'll also, if you can get a moment or chance here, kind of to make it easier on all of us, including yourself mostly, just go to this website. If you could just write this down and actually visit this link. It'll set up a 15-minute call for us to just go over a few things on this webinar that we've shared today. And then just kind of hopefully, anything that you guys need, if we can come out there, take a review of your network. Again, this is going to be limited to the first 10. So we kind of urge you to sign up for these services, and we'll get that the network assessment done for you, the cyber audit. So that's pretty much it. If you have any questions, we'll kind of open it up at this point. If not, then what we'll do is we'll also just send you over that template at the end of this webinar, and hopefully you enjoyed the content.
And also, we know that the holidays are quickly approaching, so just please understand you don't have to do this if you're not ready to do it now, but we do urge you to at least schedule for it. This way we can get you on the map, make sure it's scheduled as one of your free 10, and then we can go ahead and do it when you're ready. If you wanted to do it a little bit later, moving forward, that's fine, but we just need to get everyone signed up so we know who we're going to do the first free 10 audits for. So that's basically it. We want to thank you guys, and I hope everyone enjoys their holiday and that you enjoyed the information that we provided.
All right, so I think that's pretty much it. We're here at the top of the hour. What we'll end up doing is, guys, if you do have any questions, you could also email us at sales@krsit.com. Again, that's sales@krsit.com. And again, I want to thank everyone for joining us here. If you do want to pass this along to anyone else that was not able to attend, we'll send you the recording and we'll have this posted up for everyone to review. So thanks again, everybody, and have yourself a wonderful day.